I wish I had been cool enough to find this on my own, but the New York Times wrote about whatever happened to pizza at McDonald's. It is my new obsession. I am evangelizing for this. Again, I didn't even know about it, and the Times wrote about it last week. You should go listen to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's. The Times wrote, if there is a god of ludicrous ideas that later seemed inspired, he must have smiled on Brian Thompson one evening 4 years ago. A comedy writer living in L.A., Mr. Thompson had been binging on true crime podcasts when he decided to create a show that would plumb the stupidest, least consequential mystery he could imagine. For reasons he can't fully explain, he came up with Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's. The Times wrote, maybe you're too young to remember, or perhaps you forgot, or there's a chance you've blocked it, but the home of the Big Mac began selling pizza in the mid-1980s. Thompson said, I heard all about it when I was younger, but I'd never tried it, and I knew there were a lot of McDonald's that are open 24 hours. I'd call one of them right then. He called two. At first, the employee hung up a few milliseconds after being asked about McDonald's pizza. At the second, a manager was sincerely stumped. The manager said, sorry about that. Have a good night. By 3 a.m, Mr. Thompson had edited the calls and added some narration. He ended with an off-kilter ad he wrote for Squarespace, which he falsely claimed was the show's sponsor. Some spoilers here in the very early episodes. And please understand, these episodes are like 2 minutes. So by me spoiling episode 4, you're going to get into that. In less time, it'll take you to listen to this podcast. But he claims to be on the Panoply Network and then apparently got a cease and desist, or at least he claims he does. It is hilarious. You need to listen to this thing. The Times says the show is sustained by events and coincidences that are easily given a sinister cast. Early on, Mr. Thompson learned that a McDonald's in Ohio was the last franchise in the country still serving pizza, and he raised money through Indiegogo to fly there and try it. He wondered how the place kept selling an item that the others in the chain didn't offer. Definitive answers were elusive because the franchise owner would not speak to him. The New York Times reporter fared no better. Reached by phone and asked about the longevity of McPizza. A supervisor at the restaurant said, we're not at liberty to answer that question. Whatever happened to pizza at McDonald's? Check that out after today's Daily Comedy News. From the Washington Post, they're on board with me, and I think a lot of people, that Jim Carrey's Joe Biden isn't good. They spoke to Sean O'Connor, a, quote, Hollywood writer and comedian, unquote. O'Connor tweeted, I'm almost certain that Jim Carrey has never watched a video of Joe Biden. I love Jim Carrey. He's one of the greatest impressionists ever. The true problem is his energy is totally wrong for Biden. Biden isn't manic craziness. He's kind of slow and boring. I thought the Sudeikis was probably pretty close. It felt like a bridge between the real Biden and the hilarious Biden that The Onion created. The Woody Harrelson one was actually kind of closest to the real Biden. Vanity Fair chimed in, saying Harrelson managed to imbue his Biden impersonation with both a car salesman's glint and his own Woody Boyd character. Meanwhile, Jim Carrey seems stuck doing an uncomfortable shtick at half speed. Jason Chatfield, a New York-based stand-up and president of the National Cartoonist Society, by the way, says, if I were to put my finger on it, an impersonation is a lot of work, so it's a complex thing. It's too energetic. It's a caricature, but it's too far towards being an animated cartoon of Biden than being an honest parody of him. Chatfield says if you were to properly parody Biden, you'd be better to emphasize his stiff movements, his repetitive go-to poses. From what I've seen, Carrey hasn't really capitalized on any of that, and worse, he's given him a hunch at times. Biden doesn't hunch. The real Joe Biden and President Trump were both campaigning down in Tampa last week. Jimmy Fallon said people in Tampa were like, come on, we just lost the World Series, now we have to deal with this? Fallon said, yeah, Trump went to Tampa, and this was nice. He brought some frozen Nebraska supporters so they could thaw out. Fallon again. As for Trump, you can tell his campaign is low on money because he asked Biden if he wanted to split an Uber back to the airport. That's good. Corden said both candidates stopped in Tampa on the same day. It's an old-fashioned Tampa-based showdown. The grandpas and the Tampas, the old Tampa two-step. The melee in the Bay. Corden again, the only people at the rally who were socially distanced are Donald and Melania, and they were doing it before COVID. Now, last week, Trump had a rally in Omaha where, it got kind of cold, and then Trump left, and then attendees were left stranded for hours because there was a lack of shuttle buses. Several people got hospitalized. Not funny at all, despite the lilt in my voice. Jimmy Fallon said, that's how bad it's getting for Trump. Even his supporters are turning blue. Trevor Noah said, I guess this is a classic Donald Trump move, leaving his supporters stranded out in the cold. Trevor Noah again said, I swear, guys, every day there's another way you can die from going to a Trump rally. First you get corona, now you get hypothermia. By the end of this, Trump's just going to be tossing snakes into the crowd. Kimmel said it was a real mess, but that's the genius of Donald Trump. He's able to assemble a large, maskless crowd during a pandemic, and while everybody's focused on whether or not they'll get the virus, somehow he finds a way to send them to the hospital for a completely different reason. Fallon said, I don't think Trump was prepared for the weather. When he stepped outside, he was like, why was I told this is a hot spot? That's so good. And Fallon said, yeah, everyone was freezing. Trump supporters were like, if only there was some way to keep our faces warm. This next topic from Variety, it's kind of dry, but I think for you, dear podcast listener, could be tremendously important. The headline, Spoken Giants offers royalties for comedians, podcasters, and other spoken word copyright holders. Spoken Giants is a new royalty administration agency that claims to be the first of its kind for copyright holders of spoken word works, including comedians, podcasters, speeches, lectures, and the like. Now, I do teach a college class about performance royalties, mechanical royalties, and synchronization royalties. You can get all into that, but I won't bore you with those details. But here's what I think the headline is. You know how like you go on YouTube and you type in, I don't know, John Mulaney, and a bit comes up? I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that stuff disappear as it is copy struck. Some of the people that are part of this thing, Lewis Black, Dan Cummins, Jerry D., Pete Holmes, Kyle Kinane, Kathleen Madigan, the Ralphie May Estate, Leanne Morgan, Theon Vaughn, and others, says Variety. So yeah, I think we're going to start seeing things disappear. I've been personally frustrated. There is a podcast feed that is nothing but bootleg comedy specials, and I've reported this to certain podcast company that I don't want to have a fight with many times. Nothing. It's just there. Take it down. Piracy is bad. From The Hollywood Reporter, Apple has given Ted Lasso the best show on TV, which you should watch. Ted Lasso is fantastic. They've renewed it for season 3, which is awesome because only one season has aired so far. This stars Jason Sudeikis as an American football coach who goes to the UK to coach Premier League soccer. The showrunner is Bill Lawrence. You know him from Scrubs. I love the show. It has supposedly broken audience records for Apple and has drawn 25% new viewers to the platform. Ted Lasso ranks as Apple's top comedy in 50 countries, including the US, the UK, Germany, France, Canada, Russia, and Japan. I didn't know there was Apple TV in Russia. It has a 98% fresh rating among critics and 86% among viewers on RottenTomatoes.com. Ted Lasso getting a 3rd season. You should watch that. Another thing you can watch, I didn't get to this yet as I record, it's on Amazon Prime. It is called Truth Seekers. It stars Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. Frost says, the X-Files definitely inspired us. We loved how complex and ambitious it was, and I always wanted to make a British version of that. There was also the Book of the Strange series and Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Powers. They were asked if this kind of deals from some of their previous work, and Frost says, no, we try to keep it fresh. I'm not someone who dwells on our own stuff. I hope our best stuff is to come, and I'm always searching for that. But it's unique in that our characters have changed and aged as men, fathers, and husbands like we have, and our fans have aged with us as well. Simon Pegg says, it's funny if we do look back, though. We discussed making the show like Nick and I running around in Hot Fuzz, but then we had this idea of a team with an elder statesman and his young helpers. That was something Nick and I had always wanted to do with our Stolen Picture production company. As much as producing our own material, we wanted to foster new talent and give people the opportunities that we were looking for when we were their age. Well, before space took off anyway. That's on Amazon Prime. It is called Truth Seekers, so British X-Files, but funny. I haven't seen it. That's the elevator pitch as pitched to me in an elevator that doesn't exist in real life. From the laugh button, Marc Maron will appear in the upcoming David Bowie biopic Stardust. In the trailer, we see Marc Maron playing Ron Oberman, who was Bowie's publicist. That'll be out on video on demand and theaters if you can find an open one on November 25th. Just Braunohler was part of Vulture's series of comedians giving tips to their pre-pandemic selves. Kurt says, number 1, I gently explained to myself that cities are dead. They had a great run, but now they're over. C'est la vie. We'd have a funeral for cities, bury them, and move on. 2, I'd immediately rent out our home in LA and get a cheap place in the central coast of California near the beach, but far enough from the other human beings that they never need to close their playgrounds. Oh, what I wouldn't have done for a playground around week 8 of the lockdown with 2 kids under 3. Number 3, I'd go sit in a bar, just spend so much time there. Bars are over now. This is depressing, isn't it? Number 4, I'd get on a crowded elevator. I'd go to a tickle party. I'd go to an old-timey stock market and just press up against a bunch of strangers' sweaty, yelling bodies. Old-timey stock markets are over now, too. 5, I'd tell myself to leave the kids in daycare. Don't worry, apparently they're fine. Write 2 movies. 6, I'd move to Vancouver. Vancouver's the new Hollywood. 7, after Vancouver has a huge spike for being the new Hollywood, would move to Sydney. Sydney's the new Vancouver. 8, eventually move back to LA after Sydney and Vancouver are decimated by the entertainment industry. 9, move to Glendale. It's really not that bad. That's your comedy news for today. Tomorrow's election day. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Please vote. Whoever you like, just vote. And subscribe on Apple Podcasts or follow on Spotify or, the other places. Catch you tomorrow.